Hey there, Katrina! Hurry up and get that car clean. I gotta meet the Tunaville morning train.
Okay, Skipper, be fixed.
By cracky, I'll just about make that train. Get off that car! Get off, I said! Get off! Help! Katrina! Help!
Goodness gracious me.
Help! Katrina! Help! Help!
Oh, my gracious.
Hurry up! Get the car out! I'll never make that train! Look at that car! Nobody will ride in it that way! Do something, Katrina! Do something!
Okay, Skipper, I fix.
Hurry up! I'll never get there! Give her a start, Katrina!
I fix.
shoot. Paprika, stop the car! Stop the car!
I fix.
Booneville morning train. 3 hours late. 12 hours late. Due next week. Paprika!
Welcome to the Rice Lake, Dallas, and Menominee Railroad. The RLD&M is an HO scale, 17-foot by 24-foot layout running early 1950s Sioux Line equipment.
That somehow you weren't listening to it.
Yeah, I'm listening.
The DC-powered layout features computer-controlled signals and computer-generated operation switch lists. Ship It is a commercially available operations program I've used for over 10 years. The program prints complete, easily understood switch lists. The page header tells basic information about a train. A particular location's printout shows where the train begins. Train 320 begins in Minneapolis. The sheet lists the car's road names, the car's numbers, the AAR classification, which cars should be picked up or set out, and for reference, their ultimate destination. Let's look at the day's consists to be assembled by the Minneapolis Yard Switcher. The Shoreham Yard at Minneapolis features 6 classification tracks, a depot, several industries within yard limits, and complete engine facilities. A drawing of the Minneapolis area is attached to the layout fascia. Today's switching will be done by number 312, a Baldwin DS441000. The switcher grabs an initial cut of cars that will go on the end of the train. Then backs onto the caboose track. Train 320's caboose will be number 178. The train will be assembled on the yard main. The switcher grabs another cut of cars on the switch list. The switcher also switches industries within yard limits. Here it needs a car from Paulson and Company for today's train. And a car from Shoreham Warehousing. After assembling train 320, the switcher heads back to the yard. Road power for train 320 is GP7 number 375, a custom painted Proto 2000. After pumping the air, train 320 pulls up to the yard limit signals. The dispatcher gives the all clear and 320 proceeds on its way to Duluth. The first block signal encountered is a dwarf at St. Paul. Since the switch list calls for no switching, the train proceeds through St. Paul. The next city is Menominee, featuring the open back Knapp Stout & Company Lumber Company. The switch list also says no switching here today. Our first switching will be at the community of Wheeler. The switch list says we need to pick up 2 cars. Wheeler is a small community with 3 industries and a passing siding. Just east of Wheeler, the train waits for the all clear from the dispatcher before proceeding. This area of the layout features a 2% grade, the steepest on the layout. Rounding a bend, train 320 passes the commuter flag stop of Lakeside. Train 320 needs to make one pickup at Sioux Junction. The turnout for Sioux Junction is governed by a dwarf signal. The engine uncouples and heads past the Sioux Junction depot to the interchange yard representing Sault Ste. Marie. Sault Ste. Marie is an unscenic portion of the layout in an adjoining room. After recoupling onto the rest of the train, the engineer sees an all-clear signal to proceed. Train 320 rolls past industrial buildings in Barron. Barron is considered a division point with several industries. Today, we only have one set out for the yard. Train 320 pulls up to the Barron East End lights to wait for passenger train 63 headed for Minneapolis. After getting clearance, number 320 proceeds to the yard lead turnout. The engineer kicks the car into the Barron yard. Having a green light, 320 continues through the Chicago Northwestern Junction at Cameron Junction. The train slows as it enters Rice Lake. Using the runaround track, the engineer couples to the rear of the train and pulls it back. .320 has 5 setouts today. Rice Lake also has several industries. The cars are set in the yard to be delivered by a later train. Running around the train again, the engineer couples up to proceed east. As train 320 approaches Duluth, engine 381 prepares to lead a passenger extra out of the terminal. Emerging from a tunnel portal at the end of a 2-turn helix, train 320 passes the yard limit lights into Duluth Yard. Number 375 heads to the engine house, while the yard switcher will disassemble the train. Now let's look at a few branch line and extra trains run on the Rice Lake, Dallas, and Menominee. Train 7071 operates on the northern branch from Reserve to Rice Lake and return. Weyerhaeuser Shea number 5 is typical power on train 7071. It brings pulpwood and logs to Rice Lake. The switch list tells the crew to exchange the log loads with empties at Rice Lake Lumber. It also will set out an empty boxcar in the yard. The crew makes use of the Rice Lake passing sighting to change ends before heading back to reserve. This virtual branch line exists as a 4-foot piece of track behind the painted backdrop. A building hides the portal. Here's another branch line train. Number 111-112, the Blueberry, is the namesake train of the Rice Lake, Dallas, and Menominee. The prototype was so named because it stopped along its route so passengers could pick blueberries. The consist requires 3 cars from the Barron Yard, plus Combine 300, since this is a mixed train. The engineer pulls up to the depot to load passengers before departing. Since the branch is run on train orders, the engineer can leave when passengers are on board. After a few miles, the train arrives in the farming community of Dallas. There's one set out at the Dallas elevator. Dallas has a passing siding serving 2 commercial customers. The engineer uncouples the combine at the depot while he does the local switching. After setting out the boxcar, the engineer reconnects the combine before heading to Ridgeland. Today's work involves 2 setouts and 2 pickups. Ridgeland has only 2 customers, but more complicated switching. The combine is cut off before switching. A loaded reefer is picked up and replaced with an empty. The engineer backs up to reconnect the combine and comes back on the adjoining track. Uncoupling once again, he takes the crossover and proceeds with a pickup. He runs around the consist and couples up. Then pulls the whole train back, heading back into the adjoining track to make a set out at the light company. He reorders the cars for the trip back to Barron. The combine is set at the depot for passengers. Be careful when coupling. There are live humans aboard. The train passes the commuter station at Lakeside and back through Dallas with a short passenger stop. A few miles later, the Blueberry arrives in Barrett, where it will set out 2 cars. The combine is uncoupled at the depot to allow for the passengers to depart. The engine and combine go back to the storage track known as the hole. Back at Duluth, an eastbound ore extra arrives from the Cuyuna Range. After uncoupling its consist, the road power departs to engine servicing tracks. The yard switcher will deliver the ore cars to the ore dock. The yard crew must be careful as it crosses the main line on its way to the dock. The 5-foot-long ore dock has a capacity of 20 cars. Back at the Shoreham Yard, an interchange train with Great Northern equipment comes in from West Minneapolis. Uncoupling the caboose, the engineer heads to Pollock Recycling, an industry within yard limits, to pick up 2 gondolas of scrap. Taking the crossover, the engineer will build his train on the depot main. Heading back to the yard, the engineer picks up 4 cars per switch list instructions. He drops the cars on the depot main. He retrieves the caboose and couples it up to the end of the consist. Running around, the engineer couples onto the front of the train. Operating via train orders, the train heads back to West Minneapolis. The consist will be set out here. The backdrop buildings in West Minneapolis are actual photos or composites of prototype structures. This building is actually across the street from Milwaukee's Amtrak depot. What does a real operations session look like? I typically have 4 to 10 people handling various jobs. We run up to 16 trains in a 3-hour session. Here are some video clips shot during an ops session in 2002. You may notice some changes made to the layout since then. I've been interested in model railroad operations for several decades. Here's a short clip from a TV program I produced in 1978. The movement of trains is an important aspect of model railroading. When model railroaders get together for an operating session, they don't want to just run trains around the layout, but to move trains from point to point in a realistic and meaningful manner, just like the real railroads. To give you an example of what I mean, let's follow Milwaukee Road Fast Freight Extra 941 from St. Paul to Curtis. Here in the main yard of St. Paul, the train has been assembled and the road engine has coupled on. The engineer gets the all clear and pulls out of the yard.
That's all, folks.
Very good, Bob. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you notice there's several changes to the layout over the years. I had changed depots, and I think the biggest change that was done was changing over to DCC, which smoothed out the movement of trains a little bit. But,
Yeah.
again, I must have updated that after the 2010 convention. You'll see some pop-in slides with blue lettering that I mentioned that the layout was a constant addition change, but unfortunately in 2018 we had to move, and it saved the rolling stock, a lot of the buildings, but the rest went in a dumpster.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you had a nice, what's that, like a Shea locomotive or something like that with the.
Yeah, it was Bachman Shea. That's still
Okay.
that train on my new layout, on that layout that you saw there. The branch line was inside my helix. It was just a 4-foot piece of track where I had a pre-staged train that came out, did some switching, and went right back in again. On my new layout, it actually starts in a location that's got scenery and depot, but again, just comes out during the session, does switching at Rice Lake, and goes back to the branch line tracks, which are behind a backdrop. But some of that, if you've seen my previous clinics on my current layout, you'll see where some of those trains are still running the same. I've got an upgrade in depots. That one area there where you saw a train crossing a junction track at Cameron Junction, I have got an article that'll be in the July RMC on the Cameron Junction and how I built a depot during the time that I had my 2010 layout, and eventually it went on and was expanded on my current layout. So I don't know when RMC is published, but probably towards the middle of the month, I think the issue is sent out.
Terrific.
Bob,
Question,
I got a
which,
couple of questions, Bob.
Sure.
I live near many of the places on your layout. I'm curious, where is your layout or the former layout?
My former layout was in Verona, Wisconsin, which was in southwest suburban Madison. I had it open for the for a Midwest Region Convention in 2018 and the 1997 National.
how about with ship it? How long to print the switch lists?
Before I start editing them,
So I
I've got
understand.
about,
Okay.
when I printed out initially, there's about 40 pages. And what I do is I go into, I save it as a PDF file, and then I go and edit it by adding, highlighting certain things so that, a lot of guys just don't read, but I highlight the area that they should read. And you saw some of those switch lists with the yellow marker. That's done via Adobe Acrobat. Then I can also add extra words in there that typically ShipIt doesn't do. I'm not sure what the current ShipIt version allows you to type in notes in it, but I was doing that years ago. Because I figured there's some things I needed to tell the guys, and I didn't want to handwrite it every time, so I just put it in and then printed out the switch list. Oh, okay.
How did you print the backdrops or the buildings? Did you take that somewhere to be printed?
Yeah, I composed those on Adobe, excuse me, and Photoshop Elements. And when I had the image that I wanted, I saved it as a big file on a thumb drive and took it to Staples. And it was printed as on their poster printer, which is a wide platen printer. And that can get out, I think it can get as wide as 36-inch prints. But I printed out on matte paper, cut it out, spray it with 3M spray, Super 77 spray adhesive, and stick it on the backdrops. The picture behind me here too, against behind the depot there, that's all some of my backdrops. I did a backdrop clinic for you guys, what, about a year or so ago? I don't know. Greg, did we record that one?
I don't think we did. I'll go
Okay.
look.
I'd be glad to give it again sometime, but I did one on how I gradually started printing backdrops for my own layout. On the layout that you just saw on my clinic here in Minneapolis, that's a commercial product that I had that I bought. And that was kind of at the beginning of things because I thought the thing wasn't long enough. And I thought, how am I going to fill up spots? And I said, I wonder if I could print things out on my computer. It looks a lot better to have it commercially printed than printing it out on your computer printer. Plus, you have limitations on a computer printer of 8.5 by 11 or 8.5 by 14, depending on your printer. And Staples, I was able to get prints wider, and because I'm somewhat limited due to a disability, I my last set that I had printed out, I think the widest I went was 24 inches. So I put up multiple pieces.
Very good. Yeah, I just checked, and the only one we have recorded of yours, Bob, is the one about you working on the Sioux line.
Yeah, okay. Again, I saw your comment about clinics should be recorded, and I understand now that yeah, we're all not going to be around forever, and it'd be nice to have a repository like you have, Greg, so that people in the future can say, who the heck was this guy? We don't care. Here's his plaque.
Yeah.
We
We'll leave
didn't
a
see any,
legacy.
we didn't see any potato cars.
You didn't? That white one in there was a potato car.
Was that a
And-
potato car with the blue
Yep.
dog?
And according to Ken Soros, who makes a big joke about it, that was the last Sioux Line potato car. Used to go every convention would go to the Sioux Line convention. It'd come up for auction, and Ken would hold the thing up, and he says, "This is the absolute last potato car," but he'd have one every year.
Right.
Well, the Rolling Stones are still touring too. They're
Yeah.
still on their farewell tour
Yeah.
from the
And
1980s.
Willie Nelson and
Right.
a few other people.
McCartney.
Yeah.
Yeah, McCartney, his voice was getting a little ragged the last time I saw him on TV.
Yeah, with good reason. It's been touring forever. But
So the new layout is the same theme as the old one?
Similarly, except that the new one is strictly point to point.
Okay.
The one that you saw there had a cutoff track that allowed it to be operated continuously during conventions. I could keep the train running around and around. The one I have now is 8 by 30. The one that you saw there filled a 25 by 25 foot room in my basement. And most of a 14-foot dumpster.
That's where they usually end up.
Yeah, somebody was saying, "Oh, aren't you gonna save all that ballasted track on there?" No, it's just too much work. I was really pushed on a timeline to get our house up for sale, and I hired, I don't know how many of you guys know the Preussler brothers from Eastern Wisconsin. Mark Preussler is the editor of the Sioux Line magazine.
Right.
But part of their sideline business is to take apart layouts. And so they came one day, came at 8 o'clock in the morning. By 2, that layout was gone. They swept the floors, and it was all out in a dumpster in the driveway.
Hmm.
That saw's all well traveled, baby.
Well, my son, every time he came to my basement, used to be another dumpster load.
Yeah, the dumpster cost, I forget how much I paid almost $450 at the dumpster
Yeah.
parked there. Jeez.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I've got my new layout is Sioux Line. It's got Dallas on it. It's got that branch line that goes to Ridgeland. I've got some newer depots. I scratch built the Ridgeland depot since I've moved, and they're prototype based. The Rice Lake Depot is a scratch built Sioux Line class 2 or second class depot. But I do have op sessions, and there are scheduled sometimes 20, 23 trains. Most of the time, we don't get to all of them in a 3-hour session. The thing that I started developing years ago, the trains were getting too long. With Ship It, you could limit the length of the train, and I had them at 10 cars on my old layout. Well, 10 cars on my new layout, being that it's smaller, doesn't quite work. So I chopped them into 2 sections. The cars that went from one end of the layout to the other, from Minneapolis to Duluth, were in a section 1, which was a through train. And then the trains that had cars that are switched out en route was the second section. So we run quite a few trains. I don't use the dispatcher. Everything is keep your eyes open, talk to people, make sure you're not running into somebody else's train or going through a red light.
Who's DCC system?
I've got a Digitrax system,
Digitrax.
and it used Digitrax throttles up until maybe 2 years ago when my Digitrax throttles started dying on me. So most of the trains are run on phones.
Oh, on the phones. How about the TCS? Can you run TCS yet with Wi-Fi?
Yeah, I do have, well, I've got the Digitrax Wi-Fi system so that
Okay.
the phones, and I got like a half a dozen phones for free, so it beats spending money on a throttle. Some of the guys don't like them. They like to have a knob and a switch.
That's me.
Yeah, I can understand that because I personally cannot hang on to a phone. They're just too slippery. But then again, I just sit and troubleshoot. The guys run the layout when they come.
But that way you have easy throttles brought to op session.
Yeah, there are some guys that bring their own, but I have plenty enough that I could have 5 trains running at one time. And sometimes, and I've got pictures, still pictures that show on the layout from an end view shooting over the top of the backdrop, 5 different trains operating on the layout at one time.
Mhm.
And that's in a 30-foot length.
Yep. Okay.
All right. Any other questions for Bob? Thank you very much, Bob. That was enjoyable, and appreciate you, giving some additional color commentary here. Next week, we will be getting together again, and we'll have Dave presenting on the convention of the Chicago Northwestern Historical Society that was in Reedsburg recently here back in May. So that'll be fun, and we'll look forward to seeing you then. Have a great Thursday, everybody. Good night.
Take care, gentlemen.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you.